Have you ever wondered why so many older adults wake up at 3 a.m. and struggle to fall back asleep? You might find yourself lying there in the quiet darkness, staring at the ceiling, wondering if something is wrong with your body or mind. The truth is, this experience is more common than you might think, and it's not just a random habit or a simple side effect of getting older. In this exploration, we're diving into 5 powerful reasons why people tend to wake up around 3 a.m. as they age, and what those early morning wake-ups might be trying to tell you. Each reason reveals something deeper about your body, your health, and your life experience. By the end, you may gain a whole new perspective on your sleep. These insights aren't just surface-level explanations either. They're rooted in real physiology, psychology, and the natural rhythms of aging that many people aren't even aware of. We'll cover how changes in hormones, sleep patterns, health challenges, and even emotional and social factors could be quietly working behind the scenes. And we'll do it in a way that's honest, empowering, and deeply respectful of the life you've lived so far. So if you've ever found yourself waking up around 3 a.m. and wondering why, you're in the right place. Reason 1. Decline in melatonin production. One of the clearest reasons older adults wake up in the middle of the night is the natural decline in melatonin production that comes with age. Melatonin is the hormone that regulates our sleep-wake cycle, often referred to as the body's internal clock. It plays a crucial role in helping you fall asleep and stay asleep. When you were younger, your body likely produced a steady, healthy amount of melatonin each night, allowing you to enjoy long stretches of deep, uninterrupted rest. But as the years pass, your body starts producing less of it, which can significantly impact how soundly you sleep. You might still fall asleep easily at bedtime, especially after a full day or a relaxing evening. But by the early morning hours, that natural supply of melatonin may dip too low to keep you in a restful state. You may find yourself waking up not because of a loud noise or a vivid dream, but because your brain is slowly shifting back toward wakefulness without enough melatonin to hold you in deep sleep. This isn't something you're doing wrong, and it doesn't mean your body is failing. It simply reflects the natural changes that come with age. Even your bedroom environment can make this effect worse. Small amounts of light from a street lamp outside the window, a blinking alarm clock on the nightstand, or a hallway light under the door can suppress melatonin even further. As you age, your body becomes more sensitive to these environmental triggers, which can make those 3 a.m. wake-ups feel even more frustrating. Take Robert, for example. Now 75 years old, he always considered himself a good sleeper. Recently, though, he finds himself wide awake around 3:15 a.m. most nights. He doesn't feel anxious or upset, just fully alert, as if it's time to start the day. Once he realized this wasn't a personal failing, but a normal part of aging tied to melatonin production, he stopped blaming himself and started making simple adjustments. He now keeps his bedroom darker, avoids screens for at least an hour before bed, and takes a brief evening walk to reinforce his natural circadian rhythm. These small changes help signal to his body that it's still nighttime. While he still wakes up early on occasion, he's learned to work with his body instead of against it. This kind of understanding can be transformative. When you realize that waking up early might not be your fault, but rather a natural chemical shift, you can take proactive steps to support your sleep instead of resenting your body. That's the power of awareness. It turns frustration into compassion and helps you make wiser choices about how to care for yourself at night. Reason 2. Shifted sleep cycle and advanced sleep phase. As we age, our body's internal clock undergoes a natural shift known as advanced sleep phase. Circadian rhythms begin to move forward, causing many older adults to feel sleepy earlier in the evening and wake up earlier in the morning. This biological change is more than just a habit. It's deeply rooted in our body's aging process. You might find yourself nodding off during a late-night movie or waking up before dawn, even when you'd prefer to sleep longer. The body's rhythm, which once aligned perfectly with evening activities, gradually changes. Falling asleep at 9 p.m. or earlier becomes common, meaning your body completes its rest cycle much earlier than before. Imagine your internal clock as a mechanism gently resetting itself over the years, ticking forward with each passing season. While not harmful, this shift can feel frustrating when it doesn't match your lifestyle or personal preferences. The peaceful environment of later life, with fewer work commitments and daily pressures, can amplify this natural tendency to wind down earlier. Let's consider George, a 68-year-old retiree. He typically eats dinner around 5:30 p.m., watches television for an hour, and heads to bed by 9 p.m. By 3 a.m., his body is naturally ready to wake up. Initially thinking it was insomnia, he realized his sleep pattern was simply rescheduling itself. George began adapting by extending his evening routine. He started reading with a warm light, taking gentle walks after dinner, and occasionally chatting with his daughter before bed. These small adjustments helped stretch his sleep window, bringing his wake-up time closer to morning and reducing those early 3 a.m. interruptions. Reason 3. Physical discomfort and health-related interruptions. As we age, our bodies become more susceptible to nighttime disruptions. Physical discomforts and health issues often surface during the quiet hours, creeping in silently through aches, bladder sensations, or subtle bodily changes. Conditions like arthritis can make prolonged rest uncomfortable, with pain gradually building up over several hours of stillness. Nighttime acid reflux, muscle cramps, or temperature changes can trigger unexpected awakenings. For many older men, frequent urination becomes a common reason for 3 a.m. wake-ups. The bladder becomes less elastic, making those nighttime bathroom trips more frequent and harder to ignore. Take Margaret, a 76-year-old who's always been a light sleeper. She began consistently waking around 3:30 a.m. After consulting her doctor, she discovered her medication was affecting her hydration and increasing nighttime bathroom visits. By adjusting her medication timing and implementing lifestyle changes, she now experiences fewer sleep interruptions. These physical wake-ups aren't a sign of failure, but a communication from your body. They're signals inviting you to pay attention, make small health adjustments, and understand your body's changing needs. What might seem like an inconvenience can actually be a gentle nudge toward better self-care and deeper understanding of your physical well-being. Reason 4. Lifestyle habits that shift your sleep rhythm. Another powerful yet often overlooked reason older adults find themselves awake at 3 a.m. lies in long-standing daily habits, those small routines and choices that gradually reshape your internal rhythm. Many older adults naturally begin eating dinner earlier, winding down sooner in the evening, and experiencing less physical activity during the day. These seemingly minor adjustments accumulate over time and can signal to the body that the night should begin earlier, inevitably pushing the wake-up time earlier too. When your days become quieter, especially after retirement, your body no longer receives the same external cues it once relied on, like commuting, running errands, or engaging in physically or mentally stimulating tasks. Without those cues, the body's sleep-wake cycle may begin to drift forward. A calm, dimly lit evening with minimal stimulation can prompt your brain to produce melatonin earlier, inviting sleep before you've even realized the clock has struck 9 p.m. Once you're asleep earlier, your body simply finishes its rest earlier, waking up in those still pre-dawn hours, often right around 3 a.m. There's also a subtle relationship between food timing and sleep quality. Eating dinner early, while generally healthy, can sometimes lead to a dip in blood sugar levels overnight, especially if there's no light snack before bed. That dip may not feel like hunger, but it can still rouse the body from sleep. Similarly, caffeine consumed even in the early afternoon can linger in your system, especially as metabolism slows with age. This can subtly lighten your sleep and make you more susceptible to waking up at any disturbance. Take Thomas, who's 76 and recently retired. These changes crept in gradually. His days became less structured and his evenings more relaxed. He found himself having supper at 5 p.m., falling asleep in his recliner during the evening news, and heading to bed before 9 p.m. most nights. Without realizing it, his entire routine had shifted a few hours earlier. Before long, he began waking up around 3 a.m., puzzled by why he was wide awake before the birds even started singing. After reflecting on his routine, Thomas began making small adjustments, adding a short walk in the afternoon, reading in brighter light during the evening, and avoiding naps after dinner. These changes helped push his natural sleep window just a bit later, allowing his body to settle into a rhythm that aligned more closely with his ideal wake-up time. What's remarkable is how often we overlook the power of routine. Our bodies crave rhythm, Daily patterns that act like signals, telling the brain when it's time to rest and when it's time to rise. As those signals weaken or shift, the internal body clock can lose its bearings, leading to earlier and more fragmented sleep. But by noticing these patterns and making thoughtful adjustments, it's possible to gently guide the body back to a sleep cycle that feels more restorative and less disrupted. Reason 5. Emotional and psychological restlessness. Sometimes waking up at 3 a.m. has less to do with the body and more to do with the mind. As we grow older, emotional layers that were once buried by the busyness of daily life can start to surface in the quiet of the night. These early morning hours when the world is still and distractions are few often become the stage where unspoken worries, regrets, or longings begin to stir. You may find yourself lying awake not because of noise or pain, but because your mind is quietly sorting through memories, unresolved thoughts, or subtle anxieties you didn't realize were still with you. This kind of restlessness is different from the full-blown anxiety that might strike in youth. It's quieter, more reflective. It can feel like a soft hum in the background, a sense that something is unsettled even if you can't quite name it. The mind, when not actively engaged, often reaches backward into old relationships, past decisions, losses endured, or words left unsaid. And because the body's no longer rushing from one responsibility to another, there's space for those thoughts to echo a little louder. It's also important to recognize that loneliness can play a role here. For many older adults, social circles shrink with time. Children move away, friends become busy, and routines change. The daytime might be filled with light and activity, but nighttime brings quiet, and with it, an awareness of that emotional gap. This kind of loneliness doesn't always feel heavy. Sometimes it shows up simply as a desire for connection or a faint ache for someone to talk to when the house is still. Consider Helen, who's 82 and widowed. During the day, she keeps busy tending her garden, calling her grandchildren, and watching her favorite shows. But around 3 a.m., she often finds herself waking up, her thoughts returning to moments she shared with her late husband or to worries she keeps tucked away during daylight hours. At first, she thought something was wrong with her sleep, but over time, she came to understand that her early waking wasn't about sleep at all. It was her heart asking to be heard. To support herself, Helen started keeping a small journal by her bed. When she wakes up, she sometimes writes down whatever's on her mind. Nothing fancy, just a few honest thoughts. She also added a quiet evening ritual, like listening to soft music or writing a short note to a friend. These little acts of reflection and connection gave her emotions a gentle outlet, easing her mind and helping her return to sleep more peacefully. The truth is, the human heart doesn't follow a strict schedule. It remembers what it wants to remember, asks the questions it needs to ask, and sometimes does all this at 3 a.m. when everything else is quiet. But that's not a flaw. That's a sign of depth. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this exploration, take a quiet moment to reflect on what you've heard. What resonated with you the most? Was it the shift in your internal clock, the subtle changes in your health, or perhaps something deeper, an emotional rhythm that only shows itself when the world is still? Each of these 5 reasons offers a different lens through which to understand your early morning wake-ups, and none of them point to something wrong or broken. In fact, they each reveal how deeply your body and mind are still working, still responding, still adapting as you move through this stage of life. There's a quiet power in understanding what your body's trying to say, especially in those soft hours before dawn. Rather than seeing 3 a.m. wake-ups as a nuisance, you might begin to see them as messages, gentle signals reminding you to listen a little more closely to your needs, your habits, and your heart. You're not alone in this experience, and you're certainly not the only one searching for answers. But with insight comes strength, and with strength comes the freedom to make small, meaningful changes that support better rest, deeper comfort, and a stronger connection to your own rhythms. If you've recognized yourself in any of these reasons today, know that you're not just aging, you're evolving. And with that evolution comes a chance to rest more intentionally, to care for yourself more gently, and to greet each morning with a bit more understanding and peace.